So, Mr. Brass, as an attorney here in Utah, you handle DUI cases.
I do.
You don't make a big deal out of that. Some attorneys are out there.
That's what they specialize in.
Specializing.
And they're thrilled about this new law. Yeah. They're very excited.
But should they be thrilled about this new law, lowering the blood alcohol to 0.05?
Well, I suppose if you mean by thrilled that they're going to have more business, there's no question about that.
Yeah, that's why they're thrilled.
But for now, it's much ado about nothing, because the 0.05 law does not go into effect, and it's interesting. There must be someone with a worse sense of humor than me. On December 31st of 2018.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve in a year and a half from now.
All right.
And I guarantee you it'll be reworked between now and then.
The governor has said he wants to call a special session and look at certain aspects of this law.
Yeah, and I don't know if there will be a special session or not, but that gives them another legislative session in 2018 to take another look at it if there isn't one.
So you think, just curious, you think it'll be revised or somehow will they say 0.05 is too low?
Yeah. No,
they won't do that.
They may do what they do in Colorado, which is 0.05 is a warning.
That's one of the things that they could do. Right now, they've lowered the law to 0.05, period, and so you get treated the same for a 0.05 if it takes effect,
all right,
as you would for a 0.25.
So just no matter what your blood alcohol level is, if you get pulled over by the police and they want to have you take a breathalyzer test, they have you or they suspect you're drunk or have been drinking. What do you do? How do you handle that?
Well, let's talk about what happens when you first get pulled over.
Okay, I just got pulled over.
Right, and they'll ask you to get out, assuming that they have reasonable suspicion to do so, to detain you. They'll ask you to get out of the car and perform field sobriety tests. You're under no legal obligation to perform field sobriety tests.
So if they ask you to do that, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that, although the last fellow that I had that didn't do that got pulled out of the car by a couple individuals and received some street justice, as they refer to it.
So,
because you can refuse it, but doesn't that look to them like you are?
You're under no obligation to perform
so should you say, I'm under no obligation to perform those tests, and I'm not going to do it?
Sure, and at that point, then they have to decide based on whatever it is they've observed up to that point, whether they have probable cause to arrest you or not. And usually what we're seeing more and more often these days is, particularly with respect to the highway patrol, is that they cruise the downtown areas where there are bars late at night and look for people to commit minor traffic offenses. I mean, we represent people who get pulled over because they have a crack in a tail light, or the light around their license plate is burned out, or the Elizabeth Dole light, as they call it, the brake light's burned out in some way. And so they get pulled over, and then the next thing that they say is they smell a strong odor of alcohol about them, ask them to get out of the car, ask them to perform the field tests, and arrest them. So if you take the field tests out of the picture, then what you're left with in those cases is someone who has a cracked taillight. There's not really that much evidence. It's not illegal to have an odor of alcohol about you.
So
okay.
That's good news for you, Bill.
Well, it's mouthwash. But I'm almost convinced, though, if you say, well, I'm not going to take the field sobriety test, and they're going to say, well,
you're going to get arrested.
We're going to arrest you.
No, you're going to get arrested. But at that point, there's less evidence.
I got you.
I mean, you didn't throw up on yourself or fall down or whatever it is that's going to happen. And look, this is where it's garbage to say that they're going to be sensitive to people who are 0.05 to 0.08. This is where they're going to get caught up, is they're going to get pulled over for an equipment violation, not for a driving failure.
Right. So then what happens? You get arrested.
Okay.
Then what should you do?
You take, unless there's been an accident, unless someone's been seriously injured or killed, you take the chemical test. And the reason you take the chemical test is if you refuse the test, the driver's license division will suspend your driver's license for 18 months.
Okay, let's stop you here. Ed Brass, attorney at law. You take the chemical test. What is that?
That's the breath test.
The breath test.
Or the breathalyzer.
It's up to the police officer which, or maybe all three of the tests that are available that you take. They can say take all three. You can take a urine test, You can take a breath test. You can take a blood test. It's not your choice. It's the police officer's choice.
It's not. You can't.
No.
You
Once
can't
you're-
demand a blood test.
You can ask for a blood test, but you have to do it at your own expense and arrange the person to come to the jail or wherever you are to take it afterwards if you think that the test that you're getting is not accurate.
So, so they're gonna now at any point here, a lot of people are going to be saying, "I want to talk to my attorney before I do any of this."
That is not an exception for your duty to take a chemical test. And in fact, if they say, "Hey, we want you to take a chemical test," and you say, "I want to talk to my lawyer," it's within their rights, and there's case law to establish this, that's a refusal. And then you get into that mess that I just was telling you about. 18 months suspension followed by 3 years with an interlock device on your car to blow.
Okay, so you blow into the thing, and you're let's say you're above the legal limit.
Right.
Then what happens?
If it's the Utah Highway Patrol, you're going to go to jail. If it's any other agency, the likelihood is that they're going to write you a ticket and have someone, if you can find someone and you've behaved yourself fairly nicely with the officers, they'll have someone come and pick you up from wherever you are.
It's a family member.
Or friend, just about anybody that's willing to sign for you.
So your license gone at that point?
No, you have a hearing. You have an administrative hearing within 30 days after that, at which a hearing officer who is a driver's license division employee, not a judge, not a lawyer, determines whether or not there was reason to pull you over, a reason to believe you were under the influence, that you did or didn't submit to a chemical test, and the result of the chemical test was 0.08 or higher, at which point you're going to lose your license for 120 days. It starts on the 31st day after you're arrested.
So what under what circumstances do they return your license?
If the police officer doesn't show up, if they fail to establish one of the things I just mentioned, then you get your license back.
They'll send it back to you.
Yeah, they'll send it back to you in the mail, or you can go pick it up out in West Valley.
But you still have a trial looming over you,
Right.
or something at some point.
Criminal trial, completely separate proceeding. You can lose your license as a result of the outcome of that, even if you prevail in the civil part of it.
Quick questions from our listeners. Let's see. Is it true that you only have to roll down the window an inch to give them your license and registration?
Yeah, I've seen that done. I suppose you can do that.
Because you don't want them to smell the alcohol.
Yeah.
But aren't those all indicators to them that
Sure.
you're trying to hide something?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this is original.
What if, in the odd circumstance, someone blows into the machine and gives it a false positive?
With what? With hamburger grease or mouthwash or something
Yeah,
like
something like that.
They claim, and they claim this.
Yeah.
That it can screen those things out.
I don't believe that.
No, I do think that if you're sick, if you regurgitate something, that you're going to send it off the charts at that point.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, as part of the process, and this goes back to former kinds of machines, make sure that your mouth is clean or clear of anything for 20 minutes before you take the test. That's supposed to solve that problem.
So when do you call your attorney?
When do you call your attorney?
After you
not
get
when,
as soon
not
as
when
you
you get
can.
out of jail, because it's going to be late at night. And
you don't want to wake up
and
your
your
attorney.
lawyer's sleeping.
That's right.
So call them the next morning.
Let's see. Why is it different highway patrol than regular police? One always gives you DUI and the others let you go? ?
No, not let you go, book you into jail.
Yeah.
The Highway Patrol makes it a policy to book people into jail. Why that is, I don't know. The jails are overcrowded. That's the reason why other administrations don't do it. That's one of the reasons why. And plus, it takes a lot of time. You're taking officers off the street to go through the booking process when they could be out there doing, real crime.
So your advice then is to go back and is to not take the field sobriety test where they make you walk a straight line.
I mean,
and do all of that.
you don't have to. There are plenty of people who think that somehow that's going to exonerate them. It's amazing to me the number of people I see who come in and say, "I did great on those," and then you read the report. And nowadays they're videos more often than not, and they really aren't as bad as the reports say they are oftentimes. But I don't know that they're going to exonerate.
They're difficult tests. A lot of times.
What is the field? Because everyone's
There
like,
are three tests.
so
There are
yes.
three
What are
standard
they?
tests. Yeah, you don't touch your nose or do the alphabet
because that's the one
anymore.
people think
There's a gaze nystagmus test where someone holds a finger or a pen or some other stimulus about a foot or 18 inches in front of your face and moves it around. You don't turn your head, and you're supposed to see your eyes bounce up and down. That indicates that you're impaired. Then there's the one leg stand where you hold your leg out and you and your mind count to 30 without putting your leg down or waving your arms around to keep your balance.
Most people can't do that when they're sober.
Yeah, it's kind of the roadside Olympics is what we call it.
Okay, 30 seconds?
I can't do that when I'm sober.
And this is the one I can't do is heel to toe.
Heel to toe.
Yeah, you do 9 steps out, 9 steps back. You do some little sort of pirouette at the end of the first 9. You can't break contact between the two.
Last question. What if I have a beer ready, and as soon as the cop pulls me over, I step out of the car and drink the beer? That's
been done, and I would strongly suggest that you get a fifth of whiskey instead because it's much more effective.
Okay.
Now before we go,
yes.
For Pittsburgh listener Mauricio Paez and San Antonio listener Raul Montemayor, in the first Grand Prix of the year, the Australian Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel won for Ferrari. I know this wasn't covered by my wife.
It was not.
Lewis Hamilton came in second for Mercedes. Poland 2, Montenegro 0 in World Cup qualifying. And this is the most important sports story you'll hear today. Ohio State won the NCAA synchronized swimming for the 30th time. When I found out that I was too slow to play college football, I got into synchronized swimming.
You did not.
Sure.
I was
as far as you know.
Me and Busby Berkeley.
That's right. Thank you, Ed Brass.
Edward K. Brass.
Over and out.